Rabbi Friedman, thank God it's Tuesday, and we have yet another week, another opportunity to speak with you, to get your amazing wisdom and insights, and to learn so much and get inspired. Thank you so much for being with us. And based on our last conversation, when we spoke about very, very many different things and got tremendous insights on all of them, one really stood out more than others that I would like to go deeper into. I think it's extremely important. You said that basically the only free choice that we have is to love God back. And that's great. To love God, not to love God, to love God back. So, of course, the question is, how do we properly love God? We don't know how to love each other.
Oh, that's much harder. Let me read to you from this week's Torah portion, Rashi's commentary. The Torah says, talking about the end of days when everything will become good and all the suffering will end, it says, and God will then come back with the captives of your exile and have mercy on you, and so on. The word come back with the captives. I mean, the simple meaning is that he will bring us back. But then it should say, God will bring you back. Why does it say will come back? Here's what Rashi says. The word shov, which means return, suggesting that God himself is returning. From this, the rabbis learn that when we are in exile, God is in exile. He is with us in our suffering, which is already very nice, and tells us that God can suffer, can feel pain. He is as sensitive as we are. And I think we mentioned this last week. When God feels pain, it doesn't damage him like it does us, but the pain is very real. So when we're in pain, he is in pain with us. But then there's another explanation. The day of the gathering of the exiles is so important and difficult that God himself must actually take hold of each individual's hand and take him from his place or her place to bring us out of exile, to bring us to the promised land. As it says in the prophet, in the Yeshaya, and you shall be gathered one by one, you children of Israel. And also other nations, when they are saved and redeemed, it uses the same expression, I will return with your captivity. So here's the point. First of all, that God feels our pain. And his pain is more exquisite than ours. Secondly, that in order to get us out of our suffering mentality, which is expressed in the belief and in the assumption that suffering will always go on, there will always be war, there will always be problems, as if that's a necessary reality. To get us out of that thinking and out of that attitude, God has to take each person by the hand, individually, personally, and lead each person to redemption, to freedom. Never have we been so individually helped and blessed as we are today. in the lockdown. So you would think that Mashiach comes and the world becomes better, the whole world becomes better. That's kind of a wholesale project, a big scale project. People all of a sudden, all over the world, by the throngs, by the multitudes. No, it's a very individual process. You change, not you are changed. So if we realize that, number one, God is suffering with us every pain that we have, and number two, that he pays attention to the individual and wants each individual as an individual to experience this freedom from need and from want and from pessimism. If we realize that that's what he's doing, it's a lot easier, almost irresistible, to love him back. And how do you love him back? Trust him. He says that all the suffering is going to end for you as an individual. Trust him. Be optimistic. Look forward to a much better world, the world that he wants. He is more desperate for the world to be fixed than we are, because it's his world. Earlier in this week's Torah portion, Rashi makes the comment, taken from the Gemara, from the Talmud, that God invested so much in creation and in revelation and trying to get us to behave properly and serve him properly and so on, that he is practically begging, pleading with us to follow his instructions, because he cannot separate from us. Interesting statement to make about God. He cannot separate from us. And people foolishly think, well, that's a weakness on his part. How can perfect God claim that he cannot separate from us? He can do anything. But imagine a child talking about his father, who he admires very much. He tells all his friends, my father can do anything. My father is the biggest, the strongest, the smartest, the best. He can do anything. Imagine a friend of this little boy saying, your father can do anything? Yeah. Can he leave you and never come back? That's a silly question. Saying that the Father is great and strong and smart and can do anything doesn't mean that he's insensitive, unfeeling, uncaring. That's not greatness. So when we say God is great and he can do anything, yeah, anything but be cruel. So God says, I can't separate from you. No matter how many fights we have, no matter how many times I get angry at you or you get angry at me, I cannot separate from you. I've invested too much. Yeah, that makes it a little easier to love him back. And this portion of the Torah we read every year, the week or two before Rosh Hashanah, before the new year. So we got to get the new year off to a right start. So God says, the new year is coming. What should you expect? Well, I've suffered enough. I'm ready to stop this, but I got to convince you. So I'll take you by the hand individually and give you personal, individual reason to be optimistic and to be thankful and grateful and to fulfill the purpose for which you were created.
Rabbi Friedman.
It's a love affair.
Rabbi Friedman, didn't we have that all along? Didn't we have everything? And it's just what we make out of it. It's not what it is. The beauty, the nature, the perfect balance of things outside of the human race. Everything is pretty balanced and works extremely well. So he was there all along. He gave us everything all along. It's what we do with it.
He gives us things. It's like you get a gift of a car, and the car is in perfect condition. It runs, it works, it's beautiful, but you got no place to go. The car is a total meaningless, useless gift because you have no place to go. Yeah, but when you got a car that's beautiful and runs, so you go somewhere. You make up some place to go. But you really have no place to go. That is the problem. The universe is a perfect, beautiful, functional car. Everything works, everything goes, everything fits, everything. Now the human being comes into the picture and says, what is this for? What's it for? It's a beautiful car, but who needs it? That's where the drama of life begins. So we can have health and wealth and freedom. We don't know what to do with it. That is the re-education that we're going to need when our problems end. As long as we have a problem, we need to go somewhere, the car is useful. We appreciate it. But what if I don't need to go anywhere? What if I'm in lockdown? What if? I have no place to go. Now I have to rethink. What am I grateful for? What do I really have that is meaningful and significant? And then it turns out that what I have that is most meaningful and significant is in me, not in an object, not out there in the world. And that is my function, my role, my mission, my purpose. Those are the real gifts. So it's almost like one famous chassid said, I don't love God for what he does for me. Back in those days, things were really, really difficult. So there wasn't that much to be grateful for in terms of physical, material well-being. He says, no, what I'm most grateful for is that I can love him, is that I can know him. That is the biggest gift in the world. In the marriage also, it's not what your spouse does for you. It's not what your husband does for you. It's the blessing of being able to love him. The blessing of having that relationship be possible.
Rabbi Friedman.
And that's what's really exciting. You can have a relationship with the creator of the universe. What more do you need?
It's amazing. Probably nothing more than that, but still people don't make that choice.
A few dollars wouldn't hurt.
And that's true too. But but realistically, anybody can, but not so many people don't want to. A full faith, we're not talking about any faith in particular, any nation, religion, doesn't matter. People know he is out there, and no, they don't want that relationship. Why?
They're not thinking of it as a relationship. They're thinking of it as a dependency, a one-way relationship. I need him and I don't know how to get him to be nice to me, so I quit. I don't want to beg. I don't want to be pathetic and needy and wimpish. I'll handle it. I'll do my own fighting. But that's thinking of God like an ATM that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, and you got to give it a kick once in a while. That's nasty stuff. There's no beauty to it. But if it's a real relationship, everybody wants it.
That is actually exactly the point of this program today. They don't know, so many people don't know how to get that relationship. We don't know how to get regular relationships going. And this one where we can't see, touch, feel, sometimes get any feedbacks, how do we get this one to work?
We quoted before, God says, I cannot leave you because I've invested so much. When you invest, you develop a real relationship. You don't have to wait for some inspiring moment to be overcome with love out of nowhere. Put a little effort into the relationship, invest a little bit, and see what happens. Do a mitzvah. Ask God, what can I do for you? Let me serve you for a change. And see what happens. It's not mysterious. And it's not that some people have it and some people don't have it. Like some people have belief and some people don't, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like that. You put a little effort in, it becomes your project, it becomes your goal, your desire. And that opens all sorts of feelings. Gratitude, awe, love, devotion. A lot of good feelings. But you're not going to be devoted to something you've put no effort into. Where would that come from? And you wouldn't be in awe of something if you don't really know its greatness or its beauty. It's interesting that beauty produces awe. Huh? People go to the Grand Canyon or they see some other wonders of nature. It's beautiful, and you're in awe. But you got to appreciate the beauty to feel the awe. So do a mitzvah. Put on tefillin for 30 days and see what that does for you. It's worked for 3,000 years. It's still working. There are no moving parts in the tefillin. They don't break down.
Rabbi Friedman, but a lot of the times people develop a relationship out of fear, out of sadness, out of loss, out of, again, negative rather than positive. Why is it so? Why are we more moved by negativity than beauty and positivity?
I'm jealous of people who are strongly, deeply afraid of God or angry at God. Because it's so real. Now imagine if they could turn all that negative energy into positive energy. That would be really intense. So people who have strong feelings one way or the other, they're all good. But again, it lacks investment. You're afraid of God? That's good. He is pretty awesome. So what are you doing? Nothing? Well, the relationship is stagnating. So a one ingredient recipe is not going to be very impressive. If all you have is fear, if all you have is anger, it's really enviable how real God is to you. But that's it. One string on your violin doesn't sound very nice. So put in the other strings and make something beautiful.
Rabbi Friedman, we understand that Jewish people can do mitzvahs to invest into this relationship. What about people who are not Jewish? How do they go about developing that relationship?
Everybody has mitzvahs. Mitzvah means serving God in perfecting his creation, being partners with God in making this world what God wants it to be. Everybody is on that mission. Jews have more obligations, more opportunities, more commandments, but the quantity is not the issue, it's the quality. So everybody can and should give charity. That's a mitzvah, an obligation on everyone. When you see the hungry, you mustn't be indifferent. You have to feed them. If you see the ignorant, you have to educate them. You have to be loyal to your family, respectful of your teachers, educate your children to morality. On the negative side, don't steal, don't lie, don't commit adultery. And we can perfect all of those things. Don't lie doesn't necessarily mean a blatant, outright lie. There are so many different ways in which we're insincere or not completely truthful. Don't commit adultery doesn't mean blatantly having affairs. It means don't walk out on your wife when she needs you. Infidelity can mean when your husband embarrasses himself, you just make like you don't know him. Do I know you? Just when he needs you the most, you step out of the relationship as if you never met him before. So there are so many ways in which we serve God by following his commandments. Not everyone has to observe Shabbos. The seventh day of rest is something between God and the Jews, has something to do with coming out of Egypt. But there are 7 commandments that everyone must obey. Pursue justice, set up courts of law, make sure that the law is honest, that it teaches and inspires the obedience to the law. There's a lot to do. And we're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it to serve the creator and designer of the universe, because it's not what he wants it to be. It's not yet what he wants it to be, because we are partners and we're not doing our share. So in that, we are all in the same boat. We're not here to take care of ourselves. We're here to do for God.
We're still in a world where we self-serve ourselves. We're still in that mode, even though for 6 months we're already realized that there's more out there, that things are happening, that things are so beyond our control, but yet we're still in that mode. But I wanted actually to go back to what you said, which personally for me actually makes the most difference, the trust factor. When you have that trust, life is so different. When you think it's all about you and you're in control and everything depends on you, that is borderline insanity state of mind. Very difficult. That means if you do something wrong, the outcome is right away all dependent on you. And I just want to share a really, really quick story that happened to me today about the trust factor. I got into a car. Everything was fine. My husband was driving me to the radio so we can do this program that I look forward to all week long. And everything is good. I have plenty of time. All of a sudden, I'm reading my Tehillim, looking up, and 20 minutes added on. This 20 minutes is making me late. So what do? I said, okay, Hashem, not this, not today. I could be late for anything, but not this, please. And went back to my Tehillim. In exactly 2 minutes later, that 20 minutes was off again. So whatever was on the road got cleared up. Just like that. And it's an amazing feeling. That gives you such a feeling of, and love. And I would love for other people to understand how to get to this amazing point. And this is actually the reason for this particular program. Would love to share it with the world, how to feel this great feeling inside, not just because something was the way you wanted, even though it is, but there's so much more to that.
That's a very nice experience. People think that obedience is a weakness. People who obey are followers. The need to obey comes from weakness. Children have to obey their parents because they don't know what they're doing. They're going to get themselves into trouble. Soldiers have to obey because an army needs to be disciplined. So obedience somehow suggests weakness, a lack of courage. Make your own decisions. Why are you obeying somebody else? I think the same is true of trust. To be trusting almost feels childlike. Have the courage. It's all you. You're on your own. Nobody is going to help you. Do it your way. Take the consequences as they come. But don't trust somebody else. That's kind of the American rugged individual. Stand on your own. And that sounds more courageous, more heroic. But it's Hollywood. And like you say, it just produces a lot of anxiety and misery. It's a form of insanity. You're trying to convince yourself that you can handle it. It's not that you're incapable. It's not a weakness on your part that you can't handle it. It's not manageable. No matter how strong you are, no matter how smart you are, you cannot run the world. It doesn't listen. It doesn't obey. So it's kind of a myth that a human being with enough courage and enough independence and enough enough chutzpah, can make life work. It's silly. It's really silly. It's a foolish form of arrogance. You can make life work because you're so talented, you're so capable, you're so courageous, but then a virus wipes you out. So, well, a virus is not my fault. No, it's not your fault, and it's not your weakness. It's just the reality of life is that a little virus can wipe out the strongest and smartest and most capable human being. So, those commercials where a husband, a healthy, strong individual, healthy, looking strong, but he has a postnasal drip and his whole life is miserable. So what are we trying to do? Convince ourselves that we are as strong as the forces of nature. What are we saying? So trust is actually more courageous. Recognizing our vulnerability is much more courageous than going off to do it my way. It's good for a song.
Rabbi Friedman, but credit and, look, I'm special. I did it. I'm talented. I thought of it and it came out. People so need that. They need to have this validation that they're important, that they're talented, that they're smart, they're successful. This is what life became about. It's not about letting go and giving all the credit to where the credit is due.
Of course, yes, that's true. Trust does not mean you're passive. Obedience doesn't mean you're passive. On the contrary, when you have a certain degree of obedience and you have a certain degree of trust, you are liberated and freed to make your contribution, not to do nothing. But our contribution is in some little piece of life, not all of life. So yes, you have control over your limited, finite area of life, and there you can make a big difference by being confident and by having talents and by having goodwill to make the contribution. There you are partners with God in creation, but you're not the creator. There you have to have a certain degree of vulnerability. When you fight that, you refuse to recognize any vulnerability, you're paralyzing yourself. It's not courageous. It's fearful. So a really courageous person knows his limits, knows his vulnerabilities, and recognizes that for that, he has to trust. So we got to know what we can change, what we can't change. And that takes wisdom, which is a strength, not a weakness.
That's a handful. There is a lot to be wise, to be vulnerable, to be courageous.
Let me give a very simple example. Your child, your teenager, goes off to camp for the first time, or gets on an airplane for the first time and is going off somewhere with friends, with whatever. Are you on top of it? Are you there to take care that nothing happens to your child? No. So, what do? Here, your heroics doesn't apply even. Say, I put my child on the airplane and I did it my way. What does that even mean? How are you taking care of your child? You're not. You're not flying the plane. You can't make the plane fly. You can't make it land. You can't protect your child, your daughter, your son from what's going on the airplane. You can't protect them when they come to their destination or what's supposed to happen there. Where's your heroics? So who are you trusting now? Your lucky star? What does that mean? You got to recognize when you're not in control, and when you're not in control, who is? How do you sleep at night when your child is away? But then the same question, how do you sleep at night when your child is home? Can you protect your child from meningitis? No, you can't. So, yeah, you do your best, and then you don't feel guilty as if you caused the problem. See, but even the fact that you can't cause the problem is a little humbling. You can't cause it, you can't fix it, you can't prevent it. So what's with this arrogance? What's with this swagger? I did it my way. Whatever you can do, you do it your way. But what about all those things you cannot do? You just don't want to think about it? There's something better than that.
Yeah. Rabbi Friedman, actually, about children. Yeah, it's a very worrisome time about children right now, especially. We don't know what's going to happen. It seems like education is a thing of the past. The ways... well, it's appearing this way. I mean, I don't know. In New York, we have a very interesting public school solution with 1 day in school, other days out school, taking terms. It's like, I don't know. Parents have to work, yet they have to be following and helping their children in school. So realistically, this situation seems like the children are right now at danger as far as their development is concerned. Is it so, or is it not as it seems?
Educating children is one of those mitzvahs that God commanded, primarily to educate your children to morality, right and wrong, good and bad, beautiful and ugly, tasteful and distasteful. You have to educate your child in these things. Math is also good. Reading and spelling is good. Languages are good. Geography is good. Science is good. It's all good. But the primary obligation is on the parent to educate children to the good life, what is good in life. Since not every parent is a great teacher and maybe doesn't have the time because they're working so hard, so it became almost universal that parents will pay a teacher to fulfill the mitzvah for them. But it's the parent's obligation to educate the children. The school represents the parent, or ideally that's what's supposed to be. Parents pay teachers to educate their children for them. Today, with the schools closed or whatever, to some degree, it's falling back on the parent, which is how it was originally. So whether the children are learning online or going into limited classrooms, whatever the structure of the education is, ultimately it's the parents. So if children find themselves at home, they may not learn as much science and geography, but they're going to learn what they need to learn from the parents, and that is morality. Either by modeling it or by talking about it, but somehow your values get transferred to your children. That's called education. You can enjoy it. You can rise to the challenge and say, I like this. I want to tell my children what life is all about. I don't want some stranger, some teacher in a large group speaking to my child about life. I want to tell them myself. But then again, what do I know about life? So we'll learn together. Get some good books. Find some inspiring texts. Study together. Educate yourself and your child. And you'll never forget those moments. They can be the best moments in the world. Hey, look, listen to this little prayer. Talking about vulnerability. Listen to this. May it be your will, God, our God, and the God of our Father, my God, and the God of my fathers, save me today and every day from arrogance and from those who are arrogant. Protect me from bad people, from bad friends, bad neighbors, bad encounters, jealousy, people jealous of me, slander, false accusations, false testimony against me, unfounded hatred, plots being made against me, people scheming against me, unexpected death, bad illnesses, bad or difficult court cases, legal problems, and from the sufferings of Gehenna. You see what this is? It is so brilliant. And we say this every morning, very early at the beginning of all the prayers. Listen to what it's saying. I have a list of things that I know I cannot protect myself from. I can't protect myself from other people's opinion of me. I can't, somebody wants to spread rumors about me. What can I do? There's nothing I can do. If I deny them, it makes it worse. Like, when did you stop beating your wife? That's it. I'm damaged. People look at me and they're jealous of me and they hate me for no reason. What am I supposed to do? It is so powerful to start the day by saying, okay, here's what I can't control. So I leave it to God. To think that I can control everything, that's completely irresponsible, reckless. To recognize that I can't control everything, but then again, nobody controls it. So it's just the roll of the dice. That's thinking of life as a jungle. When I'm not in charge, nobody's in charge. What I can't control is not controlled? A little arrogant, maybe. The most intelligent and the most courageous thing is to know what I can control and what I can't, and that what I can't control, God controls. It's such an empowering attitude with which to start the day. So it's not weakness and it's not dependency, it's reality. Clear-minded, open-eyed reality. I know. I see it clearly. If God is not protecting me from all of those things, then I am unprotected because I cannot. Not because I'm weak, it's because it's impossible. How can I control what other people are saying about me? How can I control what other people feel towards me? How can I control what other people think of me? How can I control illnesses that are unpredictable? How can I avoid others who are maybe not good influence on me? I don't realize it till it's too late. So I can either just shrug my shoulders and say, yeah, life stinks. That's not courage. That's weakness. So obedience is really a blessing, a talent. You got to know when to obey and be capable of obeying. Sometimes somebody else is right. Is that too scary a thought? Does that crush your ego too much? You should be proud of the fact that you know who to obey. That's wisdom. But never obey anybody or no. It's just not real. And why would a person deny reality? It's a weakness, not a strength. And the same with trust. In God we trust is a strength, not a weakness. Like vulnerability is a strength and not a weakness. And vulnerability doesn't mean I can take pain. You don't have to be hurt to be vulnerable. You just have to be realistic to be vulnerable.
That's super interesting, because realistically, I just went in my mind through what's most important for me in my relationship with my spouse, for instance. It's also trust. It's also trust that I can rely on this person, that this person is 100% on my side. So it's very, very painful.
Sometimes you have to obey, which literally means take the other person's opinion seriously.
Or we can just say respect instead of obey. It's an easier word to relate to these days, which is still the same thing.
I can imagine people saying, I respect your opinion and your right to an opinion, but you're stupid. I'm not going to obey you. Yes, I respect your opinion, but my opinion is better. So respect is part of it, but you got to take it one step further.
And get over yourself once in a while. Rabbi Friedman, thank you. Another amazing time, another amazing program with you. Tons of wisdom, tons of inspiration, and so grateful for this time that you allocate for us on Tuesdays. Shana Tova, and very much looking forward to next week, right before the holidays. Hopefully that'll be a very, very super inspirational show, the last show of this Jewish year. So thank you so much.
A lot of good should happen between then and now.
Amen. Thank you very much.